If you guys are looking for free content all week long about the NFL Draft, Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports is exactly where you guys need to be. We're 7,651 subscribers deep right now. Help us get to 8,000 by hitting that sub button. That way you can know everything about the NFL Draft. PFF recently released a full 7-round mock draft with all 10 picks the Bengals could have, which is exactly what we're going to talk about here on Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports. You got a Chat Sports host here, Allie Barefoot, and with the NFL Draft just around the corner, there are a few positions the Bengals mainly need to focus on, along with several other offensive positions that the Bengals should rely on towards the end of the draft. But with those first couple of picks primarily happening in round one, I do want to talk about top positions the Bengals need to consider. You got to talk about your right tackle here. They ranked 31st in the pass block last December, especially with Joe Burrow being out with an injury. You're really going to need to capitalize on your QB protection. Along with the defensive tackle, you allow DJ Reader to walk in free agency. You need to start looking at roles to fill him in, especially with younger guys, maybe even some fresher legs, and you can always take best player available. But in the second tier to consider, I'm talking about offense. I'm talking about wide receivers, tight ends, who I personally think have some good assets that the Bengals can build off of, but I want to see what else is out there. When you look at the secondary, you still got to go with your cornerbacks here. You got to fill multiple roles there, especially with your wide receiver, Tyler Boyd, just walked. So there are a couple other offensive positions that I do think could help Joe Burrow lead the Cincinnati Bengals back to the postseason. Starting off hot here, PFF's mock draft, round one, pick number 18 is going to be Byron Murphy II, a D tackle out of Texas. Mitch Kaiser on Byron Murphy to Cincinnati did say that following the loss of DJ Reader in free agency, the Bengals need to shore up their interior defensive line. You couldn't have asked for a better fit with Murphy, who was the second highest graded interior defender with a score of 91.1 in college football last year. Murphy, given his strength and explosiveness off the line, brings more of a pass rushing presence than most interior defender prospects. So I think Byron Murphy fills a lot of holes here for the Bengals defense, mainly when it comes to pass rush. I do know that Rankins did handle most of the run block when it came to defensive line here, but you're looking for a guy that can plug the holes mainly. When you look at what Byron Murphy did over his last 3 years playing in college, he had a career stat of 8 total sacks, 5 coming in his most recent year, 77 pressures. Obviously, as you guys can see here, 2023 was his best season. Also a season where he played most of his games. When you're looking at a guy that is going to constantly put pressure on that quarterback, who's going to help fill those holes to really stop when it comes to pass rushing, I think Byron Murphy is going to be your best bet here in round one. Would you draft Byron Murphy? Going ahead and be the Cincinnati Bengals front office type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know if you guys think Murphy should be a part of the Cincinnati Bengals defense next season. Coming in at round two, PFF is picking number 49, Roman Wilson. Mitch Kaiser on Roman Wilson, the wide receiver out of Michigan, had great things to say about this young receiver, saying dealing with question marks at receiver, the Bengals desperately need to add a couple of pass catchers in this draft. Wilson would be the perfect slot receiver for Cincinnati, able to make an immediate impact. He dropped only one pass last season and finished with a terrific 84.5 receiving grade. When you're looking at what he did last year, which was Michigan's title run, 48 receptions, 789 yards, averaging about 16.4 yards per catch, and 12 touchdowns. Roman Wilson knew exactly what he was doing on that offensive front. And when you look at what the Bengals wide receiver depth room does look like, because you did just give up Tyler Boyd, you've got Jamar Chase still in there, T. Higgins as well, and Charlie Jones would be your slot. I do think you could fit him in right there in that depth chart, especially getting some rookie guys in along with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They're going to craft one of the most perfect receivers that the Bengals could find here, especially at round number 2. Pulling a guy that just won the Natty, I think that's going to be your best bet here. I completely agree with PFF. And what's even better is you can get all of our takes, all of the opinions, and all the information tomorrow on our main Chat Sports page here on YouTube. We are going to be live for 2024 NFL Draft. Excuse me. I have no idea what day of the week it is because this week is so hectic. The draft is on Thursday. We'll still be live on Thursday. That's where you guys can go on ahead. Give us a subscribe at Chat Sports on YouTube. If you guys are looking for a one-stop hub to get critique, analysis, everything in the NFL breakdown, go on ahead and join us on Thursday. Coming in at round 3, pick number 80, you're going to have TVondre Sweat, a D lineman right out of Texas as well. Played right alongside Byron Murphy, who we just talked about. If you were to snag both of these teammates, you're going to be hitting a steal here in the first 3 rounds of the 2024 NFL Draft. Once again, Kaiser coming in with what he thinks about Sweat. Off-field issues lower the stock of this dominant 362-pounder, but he's still arguably a first-round talent on the field. His pairing with Texas teammate Byron Murphy II forms an elite defensive line in college that should translate well to the NFL. Sweat was the nation's best run defender in 2023, earning a 92.0 grade in that category. When you look at what he did over his last 4 seasons with the Longhorns, 45 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, a career high for himself, 2 sacks, and 4 pass breakups. Obviously, he's coming off of one of his best seasons, and I do think that pairing him with Byron Murphy, you're going to get that 1-2 punch. You know, the Commanders have done that before, adding the Alabama guys onto the line like Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and I do think you can get somebody like that with Sweat as well. The unfortunate part is that he is a risk, and that is what's tough. He is facing possible DWI charges that he did accumulate about a couple weeks ago, but I do know that a lot of players in the NFL do have a little bit of baggage. Nobody's perfect, but if you're willing to take a risk, knowing that he's got a little bit of things on his plate, well, then I think it could pay off for the Bengals if Sweat can end up keeping his head on straight and helping the Cincinnati get back to the playoffs. So, with that being said, knowing he's got a little bit in his bag with that DUI charge pending, would you draft TVondre Sweat? Going ahead and pick draft or pass? Let me know in the comment section down below. Coming in as well at round number 3, PFF mock drafts with pick number 97. Jarrian Jones, a cornerback out of FSU. Here's what I really like about Jarrian Jones coming into the draft. He ran a 4.3 on his 40 time. I think he's going to provide a lot of speed in your secondary, and with that being somewhat of a second tier that the Bengals need to focus on, adding some speed is you're never going to go wrong with that. Adding on 25 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions should also provide you with a lot of statistics to add on into the backfield. I think it could be a really good asset in the round 3, that could end up exploding that secondary here. But before I do get on ahead and break down the other PFF pet draft picks, I want to go on ahead and break down Game Time here. If you guys are not using Game Time, let me tell you why. This is the most reliable, the most easiest way to go on ahead and find game day tickets. It can be the day of, it can be months in advance, but the reason why is because Game Time knows exactly what to do and how to do it. So if you guys want to download Game Time, $20 off with Chat Sports. They got the easiest and best ticket prices around. I'm actually seeing Zach Bryan later this year in Jerry World, AT&T Stadium, and I got my tickets straight through Game Time. The reason why I love it is because you can actually see a visual of where you'll be sitting and what will be around you from your seat. Not a lot of ticketing apps do give you that, so my go-to is always Game Time. The fact that they're giving you $20 off by using promo ChatSports20, I mean, it can't get any better than that. Tickets are expensive these days, so if you guys can hit the easiest prices and get a promotion of $20 off, why are you not using Game Time, man? Just go to download Game Time right now. Use promo code 20ChatSports to get $20 off of your final purchase. One more time, just go to GameTime.com. Use ChatSports to get $20 off. Coming in with their 5th pick, round 4, pick number 115. You're going to be looking at Cade Stover from Ohio State, a tight end. And once again, I do think they could definitely use some resources at tight end, but this wouldn't be my top priority if I am the Cincinnati Bengals, because when you look at what Stover did over the last 2 seasons, obviously he played 12 games last year, 13 games the year before that, 41 receptions, 576 yards, averaging about 14 yards a carry, 5 touchdowns both seasons, and 0 drops. That is a very impressive stat line. But you're going to be adding him to a pretty good tight end depth room here. Mike Gesicki, 29 receptions, 244 yards, along with 2 touchdowns last season. And then Tanner Hudson was actually ranked number 10 by PFF for overall 2023 tight ends. I think that if you're going to add somebody else in here, along with the most recent tight end they drafted, Drew Sample, back in 2019, he's going to be entering a pretty good tight end room where you don't have to use him immediately, but if you can pick up that depth and have a good pick at it, you might as well. Heading into round number 5, PFF is going to list Isaiah Adams, an offensive tackle from Illinois. I do think that maybe if there was a better pick ahead of this, I would kind of target that offensive tackle a little bit earlier. But when you look at somebody like Isaiah Thomas, it's not bad for what you're getting here in round 5. Overall, 65.6, 9 sacks allowed. That's not terrible. 2 hits, 20 hurries, and 6 penalties as well. I think that Isaiah Adams, he was actually what the NFL quoted him as, is thick but athletic. If I ever got that compliment, I would be over the moon. So overall, I think Isaiah Adams could definitely provide a little bit of depth just in the preseason at least to get some of those reps in. But as you guys know, the O-line got to be rotating out in and out. So I do think that Isaiah Adams would be a good pick here at round 5. But I want you guys to go on ahead and speak for me. Be the GM. Name a player you want the Bengals to draft. It can be round 1, round 7. If a Bengals got a pick and you think this player is going to be available there, go on ahead and drop a comment down below. PFF is going to be looking at Kamani Vidal, round 6, number 194. He is going to be a running back out of Troy. Not too many running backs here will be needed in the NFL draft. When you're looking at his career stats from Troy, 297 carries, posted 2 1,000 rushing yard seasons, 5.6 averaging on the field, and then 15 total touchdowns. One more time, looking at the Bengals running back depth chart, you got Zach Moss as your RB1. 794 yards, 183 carries, along with 5 touchdowns. I don't think that when you're going to get a round 6 pick running back, he's going to be immediately starting over Zach Moss any day. But I do think that adding somebody to the depth chart is what the Bengals can definitely use here on their interior. Dylan McMahon, I believe, round 6, pick number 214. The NFL did list his weaknesses as lack of mass and arm length. That's the kind of major concern here that's going to fall towards your round 6. But I do think that he'll have an opportunity to prove himself if he's still available to the Cincinnati Bengals towards the end of the draft. He allowed 1 sack, 1 hit, 10 hurries, and 6 penalties with 684 snaps. It's not bad at all to have a center from North Carolina State there. And then round 7, where you're kind of getting the bottom of the tier here, you're going to find Josh Wallace. Pick number 224, another cornerback coming out of Michigan. Once again, coming off that hot title run. His 2023 stats do include 22 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. He's 0 for 4 when it comes to PBU and interceptions. He's got 0 PBUs, 4 interceptions, which is not bad there. 1 forced fumble and 2 fumble recoveries. I think that Josh Wallace obviously just came from a winning program when you're going to have Harbaugh in that system as well. If you're going to add some depth here to your cornerback room, I would love to take somebody that knows how to win that title, and I think Wallace is definitely going to be a value baller. I think that when you're going to pick him up in round 7, like I said, just coming from a program that knows how to win, he understands what it takes to play at an NFL level, and if you're going to snag him in round 7, I think that'll be a steal for the Cincinnati Bengals. But the draft's not over. The last PFF mock draft here, number 237 in round 7, Curtis Jacobs. What he has done at Penn State coming at the linebacker position, which isn't necessarily one of their top needs here for the Cincinnati Bengals, but if you're going to have the best player available in round 7, I do think it would be Curtis Jacobs. In 2023, he played 13 games, 49 tackles, 9 TFLs, 2.5 sacks, which actually was a career low for the kid, and then 0 interceptions. So not coming off one of his better careers, but the fact that he played every single game is what matters to me. If you're going to have somebody in your depth chart, I want him to be able to be healthy and provide a service when it's needed. So overall, PFF did give you 10 picks here for the Cincinnati Bengals in 7 rounds that will start on Thursday. Byron Murphy, of course, if he is available, round 1, pick number 18, he should be your number one. I think in the second part of the draft, I do believe that Josh Wallace will probably be your best value coming out of picks of rounds 5 through 7. Obviously, it does matter about who is available. Like I said, if you can get a kid from Michigan, he's going to be bred to be able to perform in the NFL, especially playing under somebody like Harbaugh. So while you guys just saw PFF's mock drafts, I want you guys to go ahead and grade it. Would you be satisfied with the Bengals picking up these young kids, bringing them into a program that needs to provide a lot of resources this year in order to help Joe Burrow lead the Bengals back to the playoffs? Grade the mock draft A, B, C, D, or F. Go ahead and drop that comment down below. While you're at it, be sure to hit that sub button. We're trying to hit 8,000. If you guys are looking for anything and everything Bengals content, you're at the right spot. And what's even better is that it's for free.